I asked pollster and communication strategist Frank Luntz for his thoughts on Republican voters as we inch closer to the start of the primary season. Frank, great to have you back on the BBC. You have been speaking with Republican voters around this indictment on the January 6th investigation. What have you found?
I found that they're willing to give him a pass, that they're willing to, they see this as victimization. They see this as persecution. And in fact, what I found is that every time he gets indicted, his numbers go up. Every time he's accused of something that would destroy any other candidate, he becomes more popular. And the same thing seems to be happening right now. He's coming across as standing up to the government, standing up to Washington, and it's making him stronger and stronger at a time when everyone else would have cut and run.
How do you explain that, Frank? I mean, what makes that message from the former president so effective with his base, with voters?
They connect to him, and they have since the very beginning. I watched this in 2015, that the more you criticize him, the stronger he got. The more you challenge him for his language, for his behavior, for things that would disqualify anybody else, for calling people cowards, for insulting them and using epithets that would get someone at the BBC fired. Every time Trump went higher and higher, they think he's authentic. They think he fights for them, and they think that if it wasn't for him, their voice would not get heard. And that's the key component. Republicans think that Donald Trump speaks for them, and that's how he's able to survive indictment after indictment after indictment.
Is there any concern among those voters that he will be running an election campaign while going on trial in possibly 4 cases?
Yes, there's concern, but not when it's put that way. When they have to consider 4 more years of Joe Biden, that's the moment that they freeze. That's the moment that they think, maybe this isn't the right decision. And the second weakness for Trump is that he says a lot, but he didn't deliver on many of the things that he said. He promised a wall that Mexico would pay for it. Never happened. He promised to repeal Obamacare. Never happened. He promised to drain the swamp. We have higher wasteful Washington spending than ever before. He promised to pay attention to the debt. It's out of control. On issue after issue, his rhetoric is dead center for activist Republicans, but the record is not as good as the rhetoric.
If you look at the latest New York Times Siena polls, they show that the current president, Joe Biden, and the former president, Donald Trump, are neck and neck at about 43% among voters when asked about their choice for president. What do you make of that?
And the same poll has Donald Trump at over 50% against all the other potential Republican nominees. It defies gravity. It defies common sense. But people need to start to consider the absolute potential fact that Donald Trump could return and what the consequences of that means for the country, for our system of government, and for democracy as a whole.
Is there anything that the other Republican candidates could do to break through?
Yes, I believe that just delivering an attack doesn't work. In fact, I'd argue to them, having researched this, that you speak of Trump's promises, failed delivery, and being able to deliver what Donald Trump promised. I can get it done. I can make this happen. I know how to do this, and I will never weaponize government the way the Democrats have weaponized government. I'm not taking a position on any of this, but that language absolutely works, and as of now, no one's using it. And Donald Trump still has the language of the Republican base, which is why he's so popular.
Do you think that Donald Trump can win a general election?
Yes, I do. I never would have said this 9 months ago. I would have said it was absolutely impossible, but let me be candid with you. I didn't see January 6th. I didn't see Election Day 2020. I could not imagine the things that no American could ever perceive as happening to the country has happened, and Trump refuses to fall. There's a lesson here in perseverance. It may not be a good lesson, but you only fail You only lose if you give up. And if we've learned anything about Donald Trump, he never, ever gives up.
Frank, thank you so much for your insights today.
My pleasure.